Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nerds Rose channel, and welcome to a very brand new show. This is a pilot that myself and the man to know, Gerry Soul, are doing. Welcome to the best of all worlds, because this is a nerdy channel, so it's about time we did something about Star Trek. So we've taken the two Star Trekkies in the group of Nerds of Us, and we're grouping them together, and we're going to just watch Star Trek. But that's not all, Gerry Soul. Um, as we know, because best of all worlds quite literally means that we are trying to find the best ever episode of Star Trek. And I don't have to tell you, Gerry, that there's quite a lot of them.
It's right. Well, you've got many different series. Each series has many seasons. It's going to be next to impossible to find the absolute best. But you know what? We're going to give it a go. We're going to give it our best. And we have some absolutely cracking episodes
We do.
to
We do.
review. You know, we really do. And the fact that we're kind of starting, the one that we're starting on is a particularly good one in my eyes. Anyway, it's a pretty good episode. So we're obviously going to be scoring them and stuff like that. So we will see exactly how well this goes, because it could take us a while, because there's a
Yes.
lot of episodes to get through. Obviously, we're not going to go through every single episode, but there's a lot of episodes to get through. There's a lot of really good episodes to get through. But the best part about the whole thing is that we get to watch them while we're reviewing them. So I'm really looking
Yes.
forward to that.
So this is the way this kind of show is going to work. It's kind of half watch along, half review in a sense, where like we'll watch the episode first and we will just give our snap judgments at the end. And we have a bit of a scoring system because, again, we're as nerdy as possibly can. We have scores, we have critical eyes like attuned. We have little gimmicks thrown in as well, just for the crack, just to kind of like the spice of the review part as well. But again, we're not like going straight into like the top percentage here just yet. Like we're not jumping into like your Yesterday's Enterprise and in the Pale Moonlights just yet, because we want to kind of get the shape of the show right before we start doing the really top percent episodes. And we're kind of mulling with the idea of maybe doing like running themes and so forth like that for certain parts of the show, until we kind of get that solid shape, let's say. So the first episode we're going to do is, we feel like appropriate to kind of go with a season one episode. And not only that, but we're going to go into the Next Generation in particular, the most season ones of season ones, I think it's fair to say. Like you can see the actual writing forming in real time in some places.
Yeah.
So we're going with one episode that's intrigued us the most out of that group, or at least one of them anyway, in The Battle. It is the 9th episode of the season. And boy, folks, let me tell you what a season it is. I couldn't say that more sarcastically if I tried. But it's one of the highlights, to be fair, because it's actually quite an intriguing episode for various reasons, which we'll get into in the review. But folks, obviously, if you have access to CBS All Access, or indeed Netflix, or anywhere else you get your streaming, you can watch along with us here as we watch through the show. So again, we're going to watch through the show first, talk about it as we're watching it, and then we will give our reviews and scoring at the end. And that's how the show will hopefully go, until we change our mind halfway through and just ditch the whole lot for another gimmick. So we'll see.
Probably, yes.
You know, it depends. So Gerry, have you got your episode good to go?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome. So on the let me just queue up myself here. All right then. So on the count of 3, we will begin on 1, 2, 3. Engage. I feel like we kind of have to do that for the.
You did absolutely have to do that.
Yeah.
Now, straight away, obviously, you're looking at it on Netflix. The graphics have been upgraded.
Yes.
Lovely picture of the Galaxy class there, and then the Ferengi ship as well. So, not the very first time we've seen it, but it's definitely an unusual design.
It stands out. Like, that's the thing about all the kind of alien ships, that they're all very smart about coloring and shapes to make everything look distinctive. You know.
Yeah.
Like in hindsight, you probably say they might have made the Klingon ships a different color to Romulan, but they look actively different. So
yeah, very much so.
Although, as well, this is also part of the time where they can't decide if Picard and Beverly fancy each other yet or not.
Yeah,
they do.
It's very early, but yeah, no, they did absolutely.
Yes,
and I love the fact that he just seems to have fishes everywhere.
Yeah, he really does.
Fish everywhere on the ship.
Did you not know that there's like an aquatic section of the Enterprise?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, aquatic ops, like for whenever they meet like porpoises or space dolphins, they have someone to talk to. I love that about the ship. They never used
Yeah.
it because good luck building that fucking set. Like,
Yeah. No, I love that Beverly said there a second ago. Headaches are unheard of.
yes, just doesn't happen.
What the hell?
Well,
All you
apparently,
see in all of Star Trek is I have a headache, have a headache. I was like, oh, it's unheard of, apparently.
I just love that because it's a case of like, yes, apparently everyone's blood pressure is perfectly regulated in the future. There's none of that crap happens here. Like,
yeah. Oh, bald face Riker.
It doesn't. It feels so wrong. It's a side parting as well. It's like, oh
Yeah.
no, oh no. I'm gonna mark it down a point just for that. Yes, I'm coming in from a green screen. Can you tell? They forgot to build a set for this ship. I suppose it's important to note, like, if anyone from is jumping in here from Deep Space Nine, and you know about how the Frankies are written in that show to then this, you're thinking, okay, they are very similar, but they're not the same race. Well, certainly not.
Oh, it's just the differences are staggering. Like you look at Quark and even Rom, you compare them to the end, like the Next Generation Ferengi, worlds apart, like absolute worlds apart.
It's like comparing us to fucking like primates, you know. It's just the way they were written in a sense. And again, I love the kind of naivety of the first season where these guys are meant to be the main antagonists.
Yeah,
like no chance.
No.
He's very eager now to give him credit. Like he's got the excitement for it. You know, it's like, yes, no, I'm definitely trustworthy. You can tell from my smile.
Even just before he went off the screen there.
I'm so happy. Deanna Troi here as her best role in season 1 as person to talk to. Again, we don't. We're not slagging off the actors there, by the way. It is just a case of like Picard needed someone there to talk to, and Riker was over the other side. So yeah, it'll do. And here we get the original Star Trek intro before the nebulas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird looking at this intro now, knowing like they just kind of ditch it after this season.
Yeah, it was after the first season they changed it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Now there, I'm sorry, but that is just a thing of beauty right there.
It is. It really
in my personal opinion, best ship in all of Star Trek. Galaxy class. Best. Now I know you're going to disagree with me. I know that.
No, I tell you, because I had an idea in mind that we maybe should rate the ships as well, and then have a tier list of like ships as well. Because I was thinking like we might decide like on what ships we'd like to command ourselves. Then even just the preamble we had, we'd just like to command all of them except for one. So it's not much of a competition. But if we do a tier list of ships,
listen, if you give me a list of ships, I'm like, oh, I'd like to command them all, but you say no, you can only have one.
Oh,
I know what's going to win.
Yeah, the Galaxy's going to take that.
Oh, for me, it's going to win. Absolutely. It's the most versatile out of all of them. It's basically, it's the backbone in terms of, you look at the Dominion War, it's their backbone. They were their battleships.
Those were
the big boys. Yeah, they were the dreadnoughts. Exactly. Those were the big boys. And like that lovely battle in right in the middle of season 6 of Deep Space Nine. Yeah. When they're having the big space battle. And you just see the galaxies just coming in and shredding the Galore class Cardassian ships. That's fantastic. Right, yeah. Here we go.
It's a lovely shape on the side as well. Like it's just
lovely. Every part of it. I remember as a kid just drawing it in school. I loved drawing it in school.
The shape was brilliant. Do you know? We haven't had a headache for 50 years. We have a sign saying
0 headaches from 2309.
Yes. Well, this is what Crusher's logic here is that like it will chart the brain, which is like again something that is supposed to be like you've cracked the Da Vinci Code type deal. Now no one will ever get sick again.
And they still get sick.
They still get sick, yeah. I don't know, like in like an episode, like not like either an episode before this or after this, they all get like coming down with the cold, and this year was like the cold. So like humans' bodies have evolved so much to forget how to deal with the cold. I love that. So I think the reason Crusher's saying that is because there is a bit of backstory to Picard here about how he doesn't like Ferengi.
No.
It's
almost along the same lines, not quite to the same extent, but it's almost like the same lines of Kirk and Klingons.
Yes, kind of the same way. Like this is just kind of like not necessarily trauma, but a contempt for them from past events.
Yeah.
I was an engineer playing around with boosting the sensor output. Boosting it.
Again, like it's season 1 data, so we should have been asking what the word boost means.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just practicing my psychic abilities.
No, you look at that and go, is he practicing psychic abilities or are you trying to fart? You know.
In those jumpsuits, that is a risky proposition.
You better believe it.
Yeah. I've worn one of those once. They're the worst thing to wear in the world.
Yeah, I prefer the 2-piece.
The 2-pieces.
The 2-piece much better.
2-piece a lot better, yeah. But it's like it's a case of like it's just everything's zipped up at the back, so it just feels like you're wearing it back to front, like.
Yeah.
What do you think, number one? I think we should blow out space, Captain. I agree. Phasers.
Torpedoes, full spread.
This is what we know. What's known as the Worf tactic.
The Worf maneuver.
Worf maneuver. Blow it up.
Even their reaction to me being over. Like, look how he's.
I love that they're all in sync. It's like, yes, this is our body language, you see. Yeah, I was just waiting for the guy that like whatever kind of the dress they have some men wear on the show. I want one of them to walk past and just confuse the Ferengi altogether. It's like, oh, what is this? These legs? That is technically true, though. They found him. I do love that there's like 3 like stagehands there at the back, just like popping in to see. Oh, lads, we're gonna see some Ferengis. This is great crack. Look, they did the thing again.
In fairness, I'd do it. I'd be there. I'd be like, just look at this. This is deadly.
Yeah. Aha! That is what you hear. The backstory signal.
Star system, unidentified starship. Unidentified. That flying vessel was Ferengi, which you destroyed, sir. I've never heard it referred to as so dramatic. My sincere regrets, Bob, but that vessel refused to identify.
I'm sorry, Bob, but that ship clearly had a gun. I had to defend myself. He was holding a gun. We all saw it. Even my first in command saw it.
It's only 1,000 kilometers away. Put it on your viewer.
Oh, here it comes.
Oh, yeah.
More backstory.
No price. No price.
Now, I might be wrong about this, but I think it's one of those Ferengi's Rom.
No.
Is it not?
Because we will have a segment about that later when we finish the episode. You're close, though, because the voice is very similar.
Yeah.
Hmm. So yeah, I suppose this kind of episode is the Picard origin story in the sense.
Yeah.
At least sort of like a very recent origin story. Let's just indulge this nonsense.
I love the fact that it's literally just a Kit Bash Constellation class turned into another ship.
Yeah. They literally have just like found a dish, 4 nacelles, right? Go.
Yeah.
Hmm. I do love the two lads going like, play along. This is very illegal by Ferengi standards.
It's almost like
I also find it very funny how like the Ferengi are meant to be obsessed with wealth, and yet they come out to a ship like wearing like bear rugs. Like it's very.
they were obviously very expensive bear rugs.
They were the last 3 bears on Ferengi. That's how it works.
Now, what I'm not getting about it is right. You see the 2 ships there. That ship is supposed to be a lot smaller.
Yes, like
it's supposed to be a lot smaller. Yeah.
3,000 in the foregrounds. I do sound like a robot half the time.
And he is one now.
He is now, yeah. Spoilers, lad, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Whoops.
I'm sure you know by now. So, like, you could make the argument this is like PTSD for Picard, but like, in a sense, like he wouldn't necessarily be the one to do. Although, in fairness, like this supposed battle did kill a lot of his superiors. So, I think the actual backstory is that Picard had to take control at this point, take command, and he's been captain ever since, or at least like in a command position ever since.
Yeah.
No clue who they were? No names, no reason. Can you identify me? Those they come in a second time.
Oh, that was good. I missed that part the first time.
Yeah.
He just literally he throws that in straight away. That's sublime. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I like that. I love that they just gave him like a pen. They don't use pens in space. No. They've never used pens until this point.
And they never use it after.
I love that. It's just like, computer, replicate me a pen. I'm trying to demonstrate something. Oh, Riker's just gushing here, going, "Oh, Picard, you're so good. Teach me your secrets, Jean-Luc."
Must have had some amount of rations in them shuttlecraft.
I'm sure, yeah.
Imagine the backup on the toilet.
Oof. Well, of course, as we all know, Star Trek don't have the toilet anymore. They've all evolved past metabolism now.
There is only one toilet on the entire Enterprise.
Yes, just one. For whenever, in case there's any emergencies.
Yeah.
For visitors. They're for visitors. And I can tell you, lads, whenever they have Klingons on, those toilets get clogged. There's a lot of red meat in them diets.
And the gack. Ugh.
Oof. Yeah. I am protein, though.
Yeah. Now, I am liking the Stargazer's a bridge.
Yeah, like it's clearly it's obviously the battle bridge, but they've done enough to it to say, okay, you can argue this is the bridge of a small ship, like very very claustrophobic, very compact.
Yeah. So like the, Next Generation, Voyager, D Space Nine era of small bridges.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of the Discovery and Picard really, really big bridges.
Big ones,
I'm not a big fan of them. I'm a fan of the shows, but just not a fan of that.
Yeah, like it kind of takes you out of it a little bit because they're just so open plan, where like in theory they should be a bit more claustrophobic. But yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, you even look at the Defiance Bridge. That's nice and compact,
and
nice.
It's so smoky as well. Like you can tell, it's like it being it's like the submarine. It's like the Das Boot feel, you know.
And it's a nice little Star Trek team in the background there.
Just easy again, like. Again, we also had to point out that yes, all starships are made of rocks for some reason.
Yeah.
I do like the old school, the Star Trek turbo lift in the background that has like the tattered upholstery as well. So it's like, yeah, we can't use this, but here we have an old ship, so it'll do there.
Structural analysis on the Stargazer. Download all computers and write file. I'm over my old cat.
He's having a little reminisce. I like it because, like, I suppose it goes without saying at the minute, like, season 1 Picard is a bit of an asshole compared to how he is in the rest of the show.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like he's very like impersonal, very like unemotional, and you probably argue this is why, because like he lost a lot of crewmates in this battle and kind of doesn't want to get attached to them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Another headache. This really worries me. I want you back on the Enterprise. I'll see they're sent to your Enterprise port.
What I love as well is like the whole place is charred, the plants are ruined, but the book still somehow survives.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Made of like translucent paper or something. Here's Riker now, just getting in the yeah.
A little smug smile on his face.
Yeah.
Here it is.
I will say one thing about John the Frakes. He does a fantastic smug smile. He just
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Even to this day, he can still do it. Like,
oh yeah, he never lost. It's a skill you never lose.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, like, Worf is just kind of standing behind Yar here, just waiting, going like, "This will be mine in a couple of episodes."
He's also saying to himself, "Can I fire torpedoes? just one barrage, just one, please, just one barrage."
We're out on her. Come on, just once. You know for a fact he's waiting for Yar to like turn around, and just go, boop.
I didn't fire those torpedoes. You can't prove it.
No, I can't prove it. You see, she's the tactical officer. Blame her. I'm just a Klingon. I'm just here. Picard's now going for a lie down.
Yeah.
They could do a better beds in this future.
Yeah, the pillows always seem horrible.
That is really just someone's
bad.
couch. He's not even in his own room there. That's just like some yeoman just waiting. Oh, Captain's going for nods. I guess I better leave. Uh-huh.
What is it, Data?
You're not the captain. What are you doing here?
Stargazer, sir. What the Ferengi call the Battle of Maxia. It seems the captain's personal log contains a much different version of that conflict than the official historic account. What is that? It would appear that the starship which Captain Picard attacked had in fact been under a flag of truce. What? And apparently the captain destroyed the ship without notice or provocation. Impossible. What about the fire aboard the Stargazer? An accident in engineering. And what proof? It is logged in his own voice, sir.
I knew it was a mistake to hearted arsonist. Boy, was I wrong.
The look off into the distance, and the wall is 2 feet away.
He's there looking at the fish for guidance, going, "Did I know? I mean, you know him longer than I do." Like,
Sounds like your voice. It is number one. I refuse to believe you ever said that. I admit I must have mistaken some space antenna for a weapon. I fired our main phasers and our direct hits destroyed the
again, if I'm kind of going, like, they literally have just like taken those words from other log entries, and that's how they got that. So this is kind of idea of just like, I am Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and I am a big silly. And then, okay, now it works, right? Now let's get do it for real. I'm not saying that Ferengis are good at humor, but you know, it's a thought that counts.
Well, you could argue Quark is good at the L humor.
Yes, he's got a dry wit, dry Ferengi wit, which you never do.
I'm certain the Ferengi behind the fake law. I wonder they're waiting out there. Heading back.
Again, in this grand, great, like space age, where like Crusher goes, headaches don't exist. Riker goes, it's clearly stress. Clearly stress. I get them all the time. It's fine.
Yeah.
That my related honesty will be taken into account by staff when judging my actions during a confrontation with an unidentified vessel.
Like, it goes without saying, but obviously Patrick Stewart is such a sublime character. Like, there's just the subtleties in the way he does things. Like, literally just that last bit going, thinking, did I actually say that? Like, he's starting to reconsider it.
Channel secure on your end.
I love how they're all on green screen. Every room.
I love that,
is
yeah.
green screen.
Like, imagine being on that bridge. It's just like, it's just a bright, it's a massive like LED wall. It's just like,
Yeah.
I would call the one destruction of an unarmed vessel information.
And if I produce evidence that Captain Picard's log entry was falsified to indicate that
I can hardly imagine you contacting me in battle. What do you want of me? As you humans say, I'm all ears.
yes, you are.
your Captain Bond knew about this, then why does peaceful be?
Let's be fair, like, knowing that all these lads are messers half the time, how many outtakes do they have where like Jonathan Frakes just goes, Captain Bart? Bart!
You could see that happening, and they're like, come on, just say
It's the director's going, please. Just
it's like the Father Ted episode where he's like, play the fucking note. It's like, say the fucking line.
take the fucking back. Damn it, I'm doing it now as well. Like at this point, right? If the captain of the Enterprise is having these persistent headaches, you would just take his brain out like they did with Spock at this point, wouldn't you? Like, you've charted the brain, you should be able to see what the problem is.
Or heroin. So, you know.
Alternatively, yes, always works.
But clearly what she was doing there was making it worse. You're pushing the big fucking thing into his head.
He's like, ah! I'm sorry, Beverly. This miscellaneous prop is not working. Get another one. That's a sharper end. What are you doing?
The big needle one.
Yeah. He's just rubbing it over his head. Like, yeah, there you go.
Rub it over to it, just push it into his temple. Yeah, that'll work.
Like, again,
And it did.
Yeah. He's just had this headache for 9 years, apparently. Sure.
Yeah.
is totally about the altered love that's what's troubling.
The last 3 lines. Higher.
Oh, he's hearing voices, lads.
Sketch.
Stargazers really here.
Again, it's the first time in this season we've actually seen like Picard bothered in a sense. He's actually genuinely like concerned or upset because he's been stoic for the entire duration.
Yeah.
Before this point, this is a complete character change, which I like.
Yeah.
Something to make you sleep.
Deal with a few of them myself.
Yeah, in fairness, like if it was just that easy.
Oh, that lovely, comfortable bed again. Look.
Oh yes, that mortuary slab we converted as a bed.
I was going to put it over his face there for a second.
No, instead we're going to stick some pieces of plastic onto your head.
Oh, amazing. Look, he must have got the vaccine.
Yeah, there you go. Happy days. Congratulations, John. I've been vaccinated against headaches.
Now, that's what they do call heroin.
Yes. Yeah, nice little touch there of having him in a cold sweat.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm coming to you from the set of the Crystal Maze. Marvel, as I hit you from the industrial zone.
Does look a little bit like Richard O'Brien.
It does a little bit, yeah. It's not him as guest star, just to be clear. To be fair, that is a crossover we should have had, but
Yes.
never did.
Could have been Captain Picard's long lost twin.
Should have been. We have the farmer, we've got the space in, we've got the explorer, and then we've got the TV show host. The three sides of the Picard family.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, War for relax.
That was the Shakespearean coming out of Patrick Stewart there, wasn't it? Just say the one word, but even angrier. Fire. Fire. I already got that in Starfleet Academy. Are you saying, Commander Data, that this is a total fabrication? That it never happened? Well, God, he smiled. Oh, well, he really is unwell.
Yeah. God, he must be dying. Fuck your protest.
Back down to your little science station with you. I'm in command. Wearing the red.
Sir, are you a fan? No, but very much. Carry the stargazer along with us. Stick to the Academy lecture on the conservation of Trekkiness. No, sir. Or at least, of course.
Yeah, because that was a class at Starfleet Academy. Ask me arse.
Yes, of course. That's why Riker's going like, I don't remember that seminar. Okay, I'm just gonna leave. I don't want to make an ass of myself.
Obviously, this whole class is disordered, but I can't find a physical. I'm puzzled too.
Thanks, Deanna.
I keep sensing
You-
that
Just please, anything.
he's with other thoughts which are also his. Wesley?
I know, Mom, but this is important. When I went back to the main sensors and engineering to try some more sensitivity experiments.
Does it have something to do with Captain Picard?
Yes, ma'am. This is what you're talking about here. I don't know much about brain scans, but I glanced at these in your study.
Oh yes, I forgot. In season 1, Wesley is brilliant.
Are the same as those that people
Boy, were they wrong.
I'd like to see more of Wesley.
Mm.
I would. I do like Will Wheaton.
It's one of those things where like they just dumped the character halfway through. Just went like, fuck it. Like like actually, like you can say that about like the likes of maybe Crusher and the likes of the movies, but with Wesley, they just went like, nah, just we got nothing for him.
Yeah.
And as well, I don't know, like they've obviously changed it in like the other like seasons, but in the first season, I love that the bridge area is like 3 really nice seats and there's 1 cushion for someone else to sit on. It's just like, it's the thought that counts.
My son, transmissions which exactly match certain anomalies found in the captain's brain scans. Something over there is affecting the captain's thought patterns.
Computer, give me location on Captain Picard.
Captain Picard is in transporter room 3.
While people are going, fire torpedoes! Do it now! Do it now! The captain's gone! Do it! Do it! Do it!
I love how the computer says, new information. Captain is not aboard the Enterprise.
I will not
But
volunteer.
I
this
definitely don't like
information
I don't like season 1 computer voice.
again.
It's not good.
Too passive aggressive, I find.
Go on, Johnny.
Take the helm. It's in the foreground.
I love the old ships where the side the side bits went over your legs.
Yes. It's the closest thing to a seatbelt they ever got.
What are you doing?
Again, another really nice touch. They have the hoods from the Star Trek movies. You know, like from Wrath of Khan and so forth. So they actually look like an older ship than the Enterprise.
Yeah.
That was a really nice touch.
Notice they do learn its pulse inside this starship.
I have a fix on it, sir. Inside Captain Picard's quarters.
You transferred some of his belongings from the Stargazer?
Yes. Fairly heavy chest. Go take a look. Fast.
Commander, Stargazer is now powering up, sir.
I will say, even looking at season 1, it's so weird seeing both Geordi and Worf in red. It's very
Fucking red, and then the fact that Geordie's at the helm.
Yes,
So weird, like.
the blind man at the helm. Like, that's the future, folks. Can we also I also appreciate how like this is the most Ferengi prop they could have found. Okay, we have a Ferengi with like massive globes. What we're gonna have him carry? A giant globe that looks like his head.
Giant orange globe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Destroyed. On its first voyage as Daemon. Very vessel attacked me.
Mm.
I have spent these years searching. For proper revenge.
And now here's the thing. Back in Ferengi, that's a very big no-no. You get even financially. You make profit out of your dead son. Also a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
You have good transporters to the Frankie's credit.
Yeah, I like that one.
They got a
You
good
don't see
tender
them.
for it.
You don't see them for very long, though. That's the only thing.
No, the way it goes.
And you can instantly see that the bridge has gotten darker.
Yeah, just a slight different mood change. Like, oh shit.
Enterprise to Captain Picard aboard Stargazer. Please answer.
And Jordy going like, the fuck is this?
Pass it to Worf. Pass it to Worf.
Worf is gonna headbutt it like the fucking goal.
What do you make of this report? Seems to be a network of miniature circuitry, sir. Incredibly complex. You can amplify.
It's also glowing, which I don't. Maybe we should do something about that. No, we okay? We're okay with the glowing. Yeah.
Just where I had left it. He hadn't yet unpacked.
So he may not have even known it was there. And if this can pick up or magnify thought-altering transmission, it could have prepared you for whatever is happening now.
Let's find out. We're trying. Contact the Ferengi vessel, Lieutenant.
Keeping frequencies open, sir.
Okay. Riker's got his big boy trousers on now.
I will discuss that with your captain. In our ship's laboratory. Where is your captain? He's beamed himself aboard.
We also just point out the very 80s hair in the background.
This has something to do with it. I'll be in possession of that. It was found in our captain's chest, which was brought over from the Stargazer. Forbidden device, a fault maker. If your captain is criminal enough to own one, Pizarro, you know who controls those spheres. Now I ask you again. First officer to first officer, what's going on? It is not seemly to question one's own demon, Riker. I am not prepared to do that.
Sir, I have the Stargazer.
Swift now.
Mm-hmm.
Enterprise Picard. Do not attack again. We are on a peaceful mission. Give your identity.
I do. Riker's look there, going like, "Oh, some weird shit's happening here."
Yeah.
Our torpedoes. Fire the shield at full power.
We've lost it, sir.
I love the fact he's going to attempt the maneuver that he's famous for.
Yes. You can see it. They've lined the ship enough for you to get ready for it.
Control. You're moving much too slowly. On the torpedo man. Jetson generator online. Weapons report. Phasers coming to full charge, sir. Torpedoes on. Identify them.
Sir, I have the angle from our captain. Fury or whatever it is he is reliving up there.
Fellow Maxius, sir. That's what it is. What is the defense against that data? There is no defense, sir. And devise one. Fast.
Let's see that android brain work, son.
Not now, Kazago. We do not wish to become involved in what has become clearly a Federation matter. Fine. Enterprise out. You should also know that David Bach no longer commands this vessel. His first officer has confined him for engaging in this unprofitable adventure. Good luck, First Officer Riker.
I love that. That's like the equivalent of like, okay, he's getting the death penalty.
Yeah.
Since even deep space contains trace gases, a vessel with Picard maneuver might seem to disappear, but our sensors could locate any sudden compression of those gases and use it as an aiming point to blow our captain to bits. This plan that starship has enough power to use our tractor beam on it, sir. See that limit its field of fire. Right.
Again, Worf in the background going,
Fire torpedoes, damn it!
let me do something. I'm big and angry.
Just
I'm a
even
Klingon.
something off their starboard bow. Come on.
Lock on the tractor beam.
Oh,
Ready, practice. Vigo, is that you? Look around. The Ferengi are using their bomb devices on you. Stand by.
this must be really confusing to Picard here. If he is like stuck in like Stargazer mode, like he's like he has his old like comrades around him, then also sees Riker on screen going, okay, what's happening?
Blow it up. Blow it up.
Please.
Destroy it. Destroy the sphere.
I'm really rocking that music. Come on.
They are. It's like, will he blow the ball? Yes, he did.
I love how the person doing the stunt had hair. He didn't even try and put somebody bald in it.
No, they just had his head out of shot so you wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Captain, are you all right? Before the Stargazer, sir. The sphere you destroyed has been controlling your dock. Where is dock?
Back to the coup, I think.
Place on the guard for his acting personal vengeance. Seems there was no profit in it.
Let that be a lesson to you kids. There's no profit in personal vengeance.
Yep.
Make money, not war.
Yeah. Just sell heroin.
Just sell heroin. That's it. It's just that easy. If there's any takeaways from this first show, sell heroin.
Yeah. And it cures
Solves
headaches.
all your guys' problems. Headaches, Ferengi, vengeance, does everything. Jesus Christ, could you imagine if we gave Ferengi heroin? Oh my God. Everyone would be a fucking Pablo Escobar by next week.
Yeah. Imagine Quark.
Oh, Jesus. Drug baron. And yeah, there you go. Just that's it. Ends on that.
Yeah.
So that was the battle then. So yeah, how about that? That was a fun enough episode to watch all the same. Not too bad for first season of the Next Generation, all the same.
Definitely one of the better first season episodes. Definitely.
At least it felt like one of the episodes that kind of mattered in a sense, where like there was an actual reason for it to be, because they had kind of spoken a bit about like that I think before that he had mentioned the Stargazer as his old ship, and how like even though he loves this huge galaxy ship, he still wants to be on the Stargazer. I think he says in a different episode, but yeah, it's something they kind of go back to after a while. But they did. It works well for an origin story for Picard, but yeah. So I think before we get into judging the episode, overall, did you enjoy the episode, Gerry? Do you like?
Yes.
Is it overall a positive?
Definitely overall positive. You finally get to see, not even hear, but see a bit of Picard's backstory, and definitely a positive. You got to see the Ferengi ship, some lovely visuals of the galaxy and the constellation, and then the overall episode was good. Absolutely,
Yes,
definitely one of the better ones from season 1.
For sure. So yeah, obviously before we get to the scoring, I think it's best to say we talk about the ships themselves. So we can't not like do this without talking about the Enterprise D. So if we are in this segment, I'm going to call the shipyards, because I think that's just a really cute name for this sort of thing. And we are going to do basically an ongoing tier list of all the ships we're seeing on these shows. So So Jerry, I should have to ask, where would you put this? If we're doing like a 5-tier system, let's say we're going, let's go, let's do it. Let's do a rank way. We do admiral, captain, commander, lieutenant, ensign, right? So that's like there's your scale of 5. What is the Enterprise D to you?
Admiral.
I go with that.
Easy.
Admiral all day long.
All day long. Absolutely. It's probably the best design ship. The look, every part of it. It's just fantastic ship. Absolutely fantastic.
It definitely, it's to me like I know a lot of people, a lot of like historic Star Trek fans will always like look at Kirk's ship and say that is the ideal spaceship, but like I don't think it holds a candle to the galaxy.
No,
it's just
no.
There's just something different about it, you know.
Not even close. It's not even close.
Yeah.
No. It's fantastic, and the fact that the one the obviously you can buy it now as well, but the Netflix is the updated HD version of the Next Generation, so it looks even better again. I'm like, oh, so nice.
It does.
So nice.
Really does. And yeah, I agree with you on that one. Like, it has to be Admiral. Like, there's no other way around it. The other two ships we could talk about. First of all, the USS Stargazer. As we mentioned, the Constellation class, very much here's all the recycled bits from a broken Constitution made up to a new ship. And that's kind of how it was designed as, in a sense.
Yeah.
It was like, well, let's just reuse some of the stuff that's there. I suppose a few little fun facts, because there is like a good bit of background to this stuff as well. It basically, Picard explains in other episodes that he was a bridge officer initially. I think he was helmsman, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, when the captain was killed, captain and first officer was killed. He took over the command of the vessel that was described in Tapestry, which was in there as well. Fun fact: on Picard's crew on the Stargazer included Jack Crusher. He was one of the bridge commanders. Yeah, he was one of the bridge officers. I think he wasn't meant to be the guy in the red shirt that, like, I don't think he had a name. I think he might have had a different name in the script, but he wasn't meant to be Jack Crusher. He was meant to be someone else. But Crusher was eventually part of that crew after all the stuff happened. I think the idea was that the Stargazer saw action in the Cardassian Wars, so that could have been where a lot of the crew got killed off. But yeah, some of the people there are Crusher, and obviously Vigo was name dropped several times. He was the weapons officer, and clearly like Picard's go-to man to blow shit up. Because
before he had Worf, he was the go-to guy.
There was Vigo
firing torpedoes.
Exactly. And the other guy was a guy called Moritz Benayoun. Does that name ring a bell, Jerry?
Yes, I don't know why.
Because Moritz Benayoun is a character from Star Trek Picard, Maps and Legends. You recall someone visits Picard at his chateau saying that he has a neurological disease.
Yes, it's a doctor. Yeah,
Dr. Moritz Benayoun was also on the Stargazer. He was part of Picard's original crew.
Very good. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
like learning new stuff. I do like learning new stuff. That's good. I like that.
And yeah, exactly. And like I said, Jack Crusher was obviously part of the Stargazer crew, and he was killed on a mission 2 years before this Battle of Maxia. So that's how Beverly knows Crusher from as well. We kind of see that from like different episodes like Tapestry and Violations and so forth. And then obviously we have the Battle of Maxia that essentially ends up being obviously the stuff that Ferengi are talking about. It technically is a court-martial. So Picard does get that, and was a court-martial by Philippe Louvois, who we see later on in Measure of a Man, who also definitely doesn't have underlying sexual tension with Jean-Luc Picard. It's just a handsome, he's such a heartthrob, our Picard. And yeah, essentially that is essentially what happens to the Stargazer. It got a good bit of service, to its credit. Like it was in service for about 30-40 years. Considering it was like a recycled Constitution class, not bad going at all. So yeah, there you go. So for the Stargazer, Jerry, where would you put it in its ranks? Admirals, captains, lieutenants, commanders, ensigns?
I'm gonna go kind of right in the middle of the field here. I'm gonna go commander.
I'm gonna go commander. Okay, I'm happy with that. I mean, I can imagine people would feel very sentimental. You know, kind of way where like there's always certain like places or like things you like that are just clearly like in disrepair, but you have a sentimental value for it. Like imagine people who'd have been on the Stargazer going like, oh, I hate these fucking bunk beds, I hate this, I hate that. Then going to a massive ship where you have like the wrong quarters and going, oh man, I miss the bunk beds, I miss the cold showers, to make your own food. Oh, it was terrible. And the other ship we can talk to about this episode is the Marauder, the Ferengi Marauder, called the Cora is what they're called. So we see them a couple of times basically, but the actual name of the ship, fun fact, again, this only comes from the actual script itself, is called the Devo, Devo, but they're just called Marauders, generally speaking. I have to say, I love the shape of them. I love how like they in particular look really alien type ships, you know, kind of way. You'd know they look completely different to the Federation. So yeah, I found that kind of interesting. How about yourself? Are you a fan of the Ferengi ships?
I definitely a fan of them. Very, very unusual design. Always felt like they were insect-like. Like a beetle like or something along that lines. Yeah, it's very insect-like. I always wanted to see more of them. I wanted to see, you know, especially when you get to see so many Ferengi in Deep Space Nine. But all you ever got to see in Deep Space Nine was Ferengi shuttles, because that's all they ever seem to have. Like the fact that Grand Nagus, Zek, all he has is a shuttle. You're like, this is supposed to be the richest man in the galaxy, who is the leader of the Ferengi Empire, and he's going around the shuttle.
Yeah, I always found that a bit strange as well. Where like
very strange. Like whenever you see the Ferengi, go on, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like, I think the reason he's going for a shuttle is that he doesn't have to spend money on a ship. Not only is he the richest man in the world, but he's also a cheap bastard as well.
Oh, he's very, very cheap. Like, you look at some of the Ferengi in the Next Generation, and they all either have a Marauder or a Marauder and maybe a couple of Klingon ships as well. You know, they never have anything less than a Marauder.
Yeah. And it seems to be kind of standard class for them in a sense, and I don't believe there's any other Ferengi class ships that we would see on a regular basis. So yeah, it's just these decors that we see, and again, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest, like, because like there's a lot to untap there, because even from the front it looks awesome. Like, as you said, it has a kind of stag beetle look to it, so I just find it is a kind of a shame that they just didn't do anything with it. But yeah, same again. We asked the question, like, where would we put it in terms of ships? Like, I think it's good looking. I don't know what it would be like to pilot, because it seems to have all the weaponry that a Galaxy ship could have. You know, shields wise, it's kind of on par. But I suppose it's kind of used for different reasons, let's say. So, where would you rank it, Gerry?
I'm going to go same with the Constellation. I'm going to go Commander. Right in the middle. It certainly wouldn't be my favorite of the alien ships, but it's definitely one of the better ones. But yeah, we'll stick it right in the middle there. Come here, listen. It's going to be very difficult for me to rank anything Admiral other than the Galaxy class. So
yes,
maybe there's maybe
intriguing to see. There might be one or two
more.
Yeah,
maybe, but we'll get to that in future episodes.
we will certainly. So again, another little gimmick I want to throw in here for our debrief was the guest starring. I will come up with a funny pun in my next episode when I'm editing this, like way ahead of time. But yes, what I thought would be funny is to try and test your kind of knowledge on the miscellaneous actors we have here. So literally the game is nothing much to it. There's no like Jeopardy or prizes here. It is a case of going to call it a name and see how many can you guess how many characters they had in Star Trek? Okay, so we'll start you off then with Robert Towers.
3.
Unfortunately, no, just this one. He was just Rata. He was the guy who goes, "No prophets." Like, literally, that is just him. That's all he does. Yeah, so there you go. That's all he does. He is kind of classified as the guest actor because, like, he's not necessarily a co-star or anything like that, but he's had a bit of a television career, so I suppose that's probably why he's classified as like that. Yeah, actually, very fun fact. He let me just read in here. Sorry. Did you know he was actually a Masters of the Universe? Robert Towers.
Oh, no, because you know me, I'm a huge Masters of the Universe fan. Robert Towers, let me see. Did he play Karg?
And I will consult. I have to consult IMDb because I'm trying to pick him out myself again with the kind of the
I'm trying to
Frankie
think.
makeup's not
Robert
helping here.
Towers.
So
I'm thinking maybe Karg. He's
he
the only one I can
was.
think of.
Did you say Karg?
Karg.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Nicely
Just
done.
something about you, because you, as soon as you said that, I was like, there's only one person he could be, and that's Karg. And then you can see the similarities, obviously, to aliens, but very, very, very different. But the voice, I just kind of picked out the voice there. I was like, no, it has to be Karg. It can't be anybody else. Yeah, love it.
That's it.
Love it.
Yeah, and he's also in he's in other movies like Hot to Trot. He's also in that. Let It Ride. Yeah, there's a few other ones he's in there as well. Yeah, that's Robert Towers. So next one I'll ask is Frank Corsentino.
We'll say 2.
2. You're very close. He has 3 altogether. So Bach was 1. Actually, Frank Corsentino has a hat trick of Ferengi characters to his name. So so he's the guy that you said like sounds a bit like not Rom. So he was Bach in this episode. So that's where he has that strange kind of weird like Rom voice that we seem to get confused with. But he was also Tog in the next gen episode Menage a Trois. So he was also him. And then he was also in Voyager as Gagus. It was in the episode Inside Man. So he was 3 Ferengi in his run as in Star Trek.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. He has a few different little cameos and episodes. He's kind of like one of those kind of like your kind of like villain of the days type of actor. Although, fun fact by the way, you've played a Final Unity, haven't you? The Star Trek video game. He's in that as well, technically.
Is it?
Yes, there is the Frankie character Aramat. They used his likeness for the game.
Okay.
And technically, I think his voice as well, but he was never credited in the game for it, which is a bit harsh, I think. So yeah,
that
there you
is
go.
very harsh. He should have got at least a credit in that. That's a bit much now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he just appears in a few different kind of cameos and so forth. But he was mostly like in the 60s and so forth. So that was Frank Corsentino. And then the last one then is Doug Warhit.
Now you see, I just feel like I've seen that he's the third Ferengi, yeah?
Yes.
I just feel like he's played a few characters. Oh, I'll say 3 for him.
3. Shockingly, just this one. He just played Kazago, would you believe? Yeah. So Doug Warhit, you might have seen his name before because he was in Beverly Hills Cop. He was also in Look Who's Talking To and a few other movies as well. Like he was also in like TV shows like Airwolf and Remington Steele as well. He was James Reed. So he was. He's been in a couple of things, but he's also a licensed psychotherapist. So there you go. He's Ferengi and psychotherapist, all in equal measure. You can't say further than that. So not successful this time, but then again, that's just an example of the type of show we're doing. It when we get to actually like tangible,
we'll flesh it out. Yeah,
that's the kind of thing we're doing here. So now that we have kind of our gimmicks over, we can now jump right into the scores. So the way we're doing this is going to be like scored out of 100 completely. So and the way we're doing this, we have 10 categories altogether to judge it from. So we'll basically just go through each category, discuss what we think what points they think they should get, and then whatever we end up with the final tally is that episode score, and then we'll see if it's beaten the next time we meet up to record an episode. So the first one, pretty simple. We'll talk about the plot. So obviously we kind of have seen the plot. It is the Ferengi bring back the Stargazer. Picard is traumatized, gets headaches. He starts reminiscing, but then it's all part of the mind control. How did you find the plot of this episode?
I thought that it was very well fleshed out from start to finish. You see, even before the Ferengi turn up, Picard is starting to have. I've only got a little bit of a headache, and even the subtle little thing was headache. What do you mean headache? We don't get headaches. That's gone with the donkeys, with the dinosaurs, the whole lot. It's unheard of. Yes. So then you get this, we're meeting the Ferengi now, and I think it's very well thought out. Is that it's not just the Ferengi trying to take advantage this time, because that's what they're famous for. It's this guy is coming for revenge, and he wants to get revenge on the man who killed his son. Very, very well thought out. I think, and as like I said before, it gives you that backstory into Picard, and it makes Picard almost a little bit more human, because as you said, the start of the season he was very stuffy and just kind of almost robotic in a way, whereas this showed a different side of Picard, a little bit of emotion. Obviously, has regrets from his past, and you get to see them in this. And that's where you start to see Picard branching out as more human, and it just gets bigger and bigger from that point onwards for the rest of the series. Then, especially with the Borg and then his brother and stuff like that, and even so much as when he's going to Romulus and trying to find Spock, very emotional and stuff like that. So yeah, this is the start of the emotional side of Picard, and I just thought fantastic episode, really good, probably the best episode season 1 in my opinion, anyway. But yeah, no, really good plot in this one, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we're going to score plot fairly highly here. I was thinking an 8 myself. How about yourself, Jerry? Would you go for an 8 or
I'm gonna go 9. I think
9. Okay, well,
9 out of 10.
When we say 8.5, yeah. So 8.5 for the plot then. And now for the setting. So setting is kind of where like I suppose the different sets we're talking about here. So in the case of like say, so the settings in this example will be obviously the Enterprise D and then mostly the Stargazer.
Yeah.
So they're like the two actual places we've been here. So I suppose like from the point of the Stargazer, obviously what would be your kind of thoughts on this? We've kind of discussed the ship itself, but we also copied the actual like the look of the Stargazer as well. They're kind of like very claustrophobic, enclosed like bridge that always kind of earns points there, but also how obviously it clearly looks like it's just been abandoned, you know, and they did make a very good effort at that. I think they did quite well in making it look like an old ship as well, with the displays. They could have done a little bit more with like different aspects to it, but I think there was a good effort there for what they needed to do.
I definitely agree there. There was a lot of effort went into the Stargazer bridge. Now, as you said before, it's very clearly the battle bridge just redesigned or redone. But I don't mind that. Trek tend to do that a lot. They tend to reuse stuff. But the fact that you're making it look different is really good. I like the fact that it's got that old style captain's chair with the fold away armrest that covers your legs. I like that. That's very Kirk era stuff. I like the fact that it's got the really old Enterprise A displays. So that just goes to show you this is an older ship. As you say, it was in service for 30 odd years and then missing for a few years after it went. So it was definitely an older ship. The fact that it looked like there was damage, there was the burns. I do like the fact that they tend to put rubble on something that shouldn't have rubble.
Shouldn't have rubble. Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's made of plastic and metal. There's not even wood on the Enterprise or on the Stargazer. It's certainly not rocks. You're like, come on, lads, come on. You can do better than that. But I'm not going to score them down for stuff like that, because that's just Star Trek and it's in every single series, and I'll forgive them for that. Absolutely fantastic setting on the Stargazer. You obviously you get to see Picard's quarters and this, and we get to find out that yes, he does indeed love fish, because they're fucking everywhere on the Enterprise. I do like we talked as well about the Enterprise, the bridge set. They, after the first series, they upgraded it. They got a better chair for Picard. He has a better captain's chair in it, and rather than just a cushion for a guest, they have an actual seat.
Yes.
Well, it's no backing on it, but it's an actual seat. So it's
a start. It's a start. Yeah.
But I think even with the Galaxy class, obviously I make no bones about it. I love the Galaxy class, and the Galaxy class I think has one of the more unique bridge sets. Every other set is basically flat, apart from Voyager, where you have to go up 2 steps to tactical and to Harry Kim's station, whereas every other set seems to be fairly flat, whereas this is the first time you had that almost like 2 hills on either side, 2 slopes on either side of the bridge there. So I particularly like that. Really good.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, I think we'll give, like, I suppose, like if we're kind of like specific talking with the Stargazer, I'd probably give it a good 7. a very solid 7 for the effort there. I don't like it. Doesn't necessarily would say look. It looks unique enough for the episode. Whereas like there'll be other ships and other settings that kind of make a bigger impression. But for season 1 and for what it's doing, I think a 7 is a solid shout.
I think so. We go with a 7. Yeah, 7 is definitely the shout there.
Deadly. So then it comes to the writing. So I suppose like for an episode like this is quite a rarity because there's no B or C story. This just focuses on the A, which is Picard and the Ferengi. There's no subplots. There's nothing else happening in the background. And I think for the purpose of this episode, that's probably to its advantage because this is about Picard and it's about his backstory and about his old ship. So I think that actually works better. They didn't deviate from it at any point. So I wanted to kind of score quite high in that sense, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I do like that it was completely new, something new, but it did lead on to other things. The fact that you then saw that Picard definitely distrusts Ferengi. The fact that we do get another Bok episode. I don't like the fact that it's not played by original Bok.
Yeah, very weird.
The fact that he was that guy, the actor was reused, and especially even reused in Voyager. I'm like, why couldn't you just get him back for this? This doesn't make any sense, really. No. Only the fact that he's probably busy on some other shoot, so you kind of forgive them for that. But this episode leads on. There's nothing leading into this episode, but this episode leads on. But in terms of the writing, I think it's quite good. It was kind of fresh for the series because there was a lot of the episodes that kind of blended together, even though they weren't.
It was like a problem of the week type episodes, like the original series. Yeah.
So when you got to this episode, like, okay, this is a bit more exciting now. I like this. There's a bit of action in this. It's the thing that I think is lacking throughout a lot of Star Trek series is the lack of action.
Yes.
When you look at the ratings for certain episodes over the course of the last few years, especially in Deep Space Nine, the most watched episodes and the highest rated episodes were the ones that were always space battles and action, because that's what people want to see. So this was much needed action in season 1 of Next Generation. So really good plot, really good. Just really good. I thought it was fantastic anyway.
So score wise, what would you give us?
I go an 8 on that. I think it's really good, but I think 8 is fair.
I think so too. I'll go with 8 on that one. I'm happy with that. So next then is kind of on the opposite. I suppose the flip side of the coin is the acting. So the writing is good, but if you don't have the actors there for it, I think it falls on deaf ears. But with Patrick Stewart, you can't really go wrong. I think he nails this episode quite well, but also like he's not the only person in the episode. There are others, so that's what we have to kind of balance out here. I think if it was just on Picard, I'd give him full marks because he's been told like, all right, you have to pretend to have headaches, even though headaches are normal now in this universe. Okay, grand, let me just work that out.
And he got a headache just from working it out.
Exactly, yeah, and that added to the realism of the episode. But like obviously high points for Picard. I'd have to take away points for the likes of Wesley and the Ferengis going yes. But that's the stage directions as well. We have to we do have to take it from that. And for Troy just going, I'm sensing something. It's like, great, that's what you're here for. Tell me more.
Even I would even mark it down slightly, even for Dr. Crusher, because she was just like, should have told me about these headaches. Should have told me they were this bad. I'm just like, no. Like for me, in terms of acting, high points are obviously Picard, because it's Picard's Patrick Stewart. But I do think Bok in this episode is he has an agenda. There's something up, but you can't really put your finger on it. So it's almost like that deliciously evil look that he has in his face. I do like that. Yeah, and especially when he's on his own in his little lab and he's turning the dial on the things. It's almost Joker-esque, to be perfectly honest. And no, I mark it down for the likes of Wesley and Crusher and Troy and obviously the other two Ferengi, because I'm just like it's almost like Skeletor.
And the minions.
Yeah, the little minions. I'm like, no, that's not really working. But definitely goes up with Picard and with Bok. For a while, I think so anyway.
Okay, so I think that balances out to like a 7.5.
I'll agree with you there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So action. Ooh, now see this. So action is obviously, these are more so for the actual like any kind of fight scenes we have, either like physically or with people or with the ships and so forth. This is where, and any kind of like massive like kind of stunt work, as it were. This is where I think the episode falls down a little bit. Yeah. This is where it's missing. You kind of mentioned even like season 1 was kind of missing a bit of action. This is the closest thing they did get to it, in a sense, where like they did try. This was their efforts at a dramatic kind of finale type deal. And as you said, they had a stunt double who's wearing such a fucking like Captain Kirk hair. They just didn't bother to keep him in the shot. They just let it happen and just crop his head out. And so overall, like in a sense, like I was kind of like, we were kind of like robbed of a Stargazer versus Enterprise battle. Just even like one like opening spar, something like that. And again, you can imagine Worf just like grabbing his fingernails under the upholstery, going, "Let me fucking shoot something." So I think I had to mark it down harshly for that. What would be your thoughts on that?
Certainly, yes. Obviously, we got that the possibility of there being a little bit of a fight when Picard does the Picard maneuver. So he does it, but then it's immediately caught in a tractor beam. So even if we'd have seen a little bit of the Stargazer firing and missing the Enterprise, even something like that would have added to it. So I would certainly add it low in action. So I don't want to be too harsh on it, because it's still a good episode, and that lovely explosion where that lovely stunt double that looks exactly like Patrick Stewart went backwards. I'm not going to go too low. I'm certainly going to go low, but I'm not going to go too low. I'm going to go 4.
I was going to say 4 myself. I think it's a fair shout, because I suppose like people are kind of like looking at the action category, thinking like you can't expect every Stargate episode to have a fight scene. That's not what we mean. We mean like a dynamic feel to the episode. So like in an episode where it could be very like ponderous and pensive and so forth, if there's a good a dynamic like level to the episode, we would give that a high action score. So that would, because it would kind of fall between the cracks of say the writing and the plot and so forth. Like if there's a good flow to the episode, if it feels good, we kind of like we'll try that into action as well. So effects then is the next one. So I was very happy with the effects in this episode. Perhaps not groundbreaking as such, but I did like the fact that for certain parts of the episode, like we see Picard on the bridge of Stargazer, he's imagining his crew, the fire and so forth. I will keep some points for the scene category, because there's one scene I want to talk about in particular I really liked. But effects overall were quite high. I would say, I think like just like broadly speaking, again, the one thing I'd say is perhaps the capacity for more. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, you have to understand, this was what the end of the 80s. They wouldn't have had an absolutely huge budget,
exactly.
So at the end of the day, they're going to be trying to spend as little as possible in the effects. But I thought the effects were good. You look at the likes of the Enterprise just sailing along there with the Ferengi ship, and then all of a sudden they're sailing along with the Stargazer.
Should we mark it down for getting the Stargazer, the size of that ship wrong?
I was just going to say that, because if they'd have done the ship even half the size, it would have looked better. Yeah. Because when you look at Constitution classes, you look at even Miranda classes, they are very visibly smaller than the Enterprise, because the Enterprise D is supposed to be so much bigger.
It's like,
so they're definitely smaller. Exactly. Like you look at an Excelsior, that is comparable in length to a Galaxy class, maybe a little bit, because of the nacelles.
Longer,
it's probably longer, but in terms of size, it's a lot smaller. So yeah, I would mark it down because they got the sizing wrong. And unfortunately, that is a problem that happens in Star Trek a lot. They tend to get that wrong. It's not that big of a deal, but when it's a big one, you're like, oh Jesus, lads!
Especially when you can tell like that is meant to be a small ship. It's very obvious. It's supposed to be like a tin pot compared to the Galaxy's type ship. So yeah, I have to give it like that. I did like they did recreate the Picard maneuver.
Yes, that was good.
That's kind of cancelled that out for me. So I would like to give it a 7 overall for the effects, considering season 1 as well.
I'll give it a 7 as well.
7.
I'll give it a
Okay,
7
right,
as
so
well.
you're-
Just to agree with you on that one. The effects were good, could have been better, but again, limited budget, and it's the 80s. So
Okay. So next thing we're going to do is again a very big part of Star Trek that often doesn't get the love, the score. So this is an interesting one because this could be a very subjective category. I think the score was fine. Like I didn't think they did the subtle parts well, and like two things I kind of remember from the episode is that like it's very subtle starting off, and then when they did have the Star Trek music come in when Picard's on the Stargazer, I love that because it's very easy, it's very kind of like relaxed. Now the one thing I would take away from it at the end was like overly dramatic music for shooting a ball. You know, like that's like it wasn't a life and death situation. Like, like the mind control was stop.
I was, Jonathan. Come on, now it was life or death. That's that's what they were trying to convey.
That's what they were trying to convey, but it didn't come across that way in the scene. He was shooting a glowing ball. Boom, there you go.
I will agree with you. Generally the music in Star Trek is quite good. And it's something that I firmly believe that music can absolutely make or break either an episode, a series, or a movie. If you have a bad score, the film or series just gets deflated and you're like, no, it's just not as good. It's like there was a fantasy film out there a couple of years ago. I can't remember the name of it. Aragon or something like that.
Aragon, it would have been, yeah.
It was like they were supposed to make a series of them, but they didn't. The first film failed miserably, so it just didn't. But it's like you're expecting very Lord of the Ringsy style of music. That's the type of music that you're expecting. Even like the likes of John Williams or something like that. But they had rock music on it, and I was like, no, that just ruins the whole film.
No, it doesn't.
It just ruins it. So music can make or break an episode. Did the music absolutely make this episode? No, but it certainly didn't break it either. No. You had that nice little intro, and when you first see the Enterprise, you've got that was that bit when Picard beamed over to the Stargazer, and that is the Star Trek music playing. So it's very sentimental, and you're like, yeah, no, you got that right.
That was very
big music for the shooting of ball. A little bit over the top, I think. So I'm certainly not gonna take too many points away because I thought the music was good. It wasn't fantastic, but it was good. So I'm going to go 7.
I was going to say 6 for that. So I think 6.5 then was how that levels out then. So, so we're down to our last 3 then categories. So these are very kind of like these are, I suppose, very more specific categories as it were. So this one's just called scene. So what we're doing here is basically we're going to pick out what we think was the best scene or spot basically of this episode, and then critiquing that. So my personal one, just kind of giving the best way of example, I suppose. So the scene I had in mind was after he's kind of woken up from the cold sweat, he wakes up, there's fire all around him, and his crew from the Stargazer are back as kind of ghosts. And it just so happens that there's a chair kind of central in the scene. He just sits down and like he just sits in it as if it's the captain's chair, and he starts like giving out orders. The helmsmen are at the front, you have your tactical officer beside you, and everyone's like kind of like they're not acting as if they were actually on the bridge. They're far more, they're too cool, they're too relaxed to be that. But that kind of like that to me works well because it's meant to take you out of it. Like it's real to him, but it's not to us. There's a separation there. And I just love the way that like Picard completely is like he's back in the Stargazer for that. So I thought for my particular favorite scene of that, I think that's the one for me. Like if you're going to pick out one scene from this episode, that's the scene.
I'm going to agree with you there. I was saying to myself, we're probably not going to agree on our favorite scene, but I'm actually going to agree with you there. He comes out, he wakes up with the cold sweats, he walks out, he starts issuing them orders, and then like I know we were making fun of it earlier on, but even at the end it's like fire.
Yeah.
Like and it's kind of it's Patrick Stewart at his best really. He's kind of phased out. He believes like his sitting room or his room and his quarters is the bridge of the Stargazer, so and he makes it seem so real. So yeah, absolutely, I'm going to go with that one as well. So what are you going to score it though? That's the thing.
Yes, so like again, so when we do kind of hone in on a scene like this, it's kind of a case of could this have been better? Could this have been improved in any way? And obviously, with a 10, it's like no, this is the perfect scene. We can't touch it. So that's the way. This is a very subjective group category. The way I would say it is that like I think it serves a purpose because I don't think there's any one like groundbreaking scene from this episode, but this is a good like summary scene if that's the case. If you wanted to summarize it in one scene, that's it. So for that purpose alone, I think it nails all the points it has to nail, and doesn't outstay its welcome, but also then doesn't get expanded upon. But what it does do, it repeats itself then later on in the episode. So whether you think that is a positive or negative depends on the context, I think, because like obviously it's meant to repeat itself, it's deliberate. So I think for this one, for the sake of the scene, I'm going to give it an 8 because I think it just ticks all the boxes and doesn't outstay its welcome. No grandiose special effects as such. There's sounds and there's so forth like that, but actually I would say 1+ was the actual real fire. There's a real fire in the scene as opposed to a fake fire, because then you can get the shimmering off Picard's like skin. So that was a good positive. So I think I would give it an 8 altogether. But that's probably more the effects than anything else.
I don't think the scene could be improved upon because it served the purpose well, because he's hallucinating. Yes. And this is exactly what he's seeing. So I think in terms of that, very, very good. Did exactly what it said in the tin. Liked the real fire as well. I'm going to go with you, though. I'm going to go with an 8. I'm going to go 8 in that there.
Very good. So the next one then is on the character. So again, this is where we kind of hone in on what we think was the most prominent character in the show, and then critique on how they have either progressed or regressed depending on what the context is. So, I mean, this is an easy enough one. This is a very Picard episode. In fact,
I was going to go Wesley. Come on.
Oh, hey, I'm Wesley. I solved everything. Yeah, that's nice. Fuck off.
Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley. No, of course, this is a very quintessential Picard episode. In fact, I'm glad you picked this as our pilot as opposed to anything else, because it's a very good entry point into the series and to Picard as a character, because in a sense there was a lot of chaff in the first season, but this one was like, okay, Picard origin story, let's tell it. And it works for his character, because like it's to explain why he's so detached from the crew initially. Like he doesn't and I've also I don't know if you picked up on this as well, but he also had this weird hatred for loud noises in the first season. And maybe it's me, but I noticed this went away after this episode, or at least they stopped making that a gimmick, if you know what I mean. Because I remember, like in the pilot, like it's red alert. It's a sound you've heard all your life, and he just screams to turn off the damn noise. It's like it's a red alert. Like there's nothing you can do about it. It's general cooking quarters. What do you want? So like there's like various different kind of like parts of his character that starts going away after this episode. So I think to me that's a very good sign of progression for me, that they've started actively not only working with the character, but also seeing what kind of actor they have in Patrick Stewart. Like you cannot waste this range of emotion on just like stiff and stoic ratio hornblower. Yes, no, I can take anything that takes it. No. If you're gonna feel something, you now have an actor that can express that. So use it, and it did.
It's definitely. I've said earlier on, this kind of sets him up emotionally for the rest of the series.
Yes.
He was very, almost stuffy and robotic before this, but then he absolutely just kind of blossomed from this episode. Clearly, he has regrets about the Stargazer. Clearly, he regrets leaving some of the crew behind, and the fact that he made mistakes, and he shouldn't have fired, whatever. But it definitely it progresses Picard almost through the roof for me. It was like he shows emotion in this episode. He shows Patrick Stewart was just fantastic as Picard in this episode. So absolutely, this would be scored high for me, because number one, it's a Picard centric episode, so absolutely love that, and the fact that Patrick Stewart was so good in it, especially along the lines of when he's supposed to be hallucinating and he can't hear anybody around him, and it's just really, really good. Like we said in that scene where they're all talking in the wardroom, and you're like, Vigo, will you check that? And it just so seamlessly goes straight into it. So good. Fantastic. So good. So this is going to be a high scoring one now. This for me now. I don't think it's a 10.
Yeah, like I would consider a 10 like a complete character 180. you know. But I think like a good character, like if it's developed or it's quelled the character traits, I'd give it a high score. So I'm going to give this a 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to 9 as well, because Patrick Stewart Picard, he's quintessential Picard. Yeah, it couldn't be any lower than 9.
Yeah,
no way.
Exactly. So and then the final category then are consequences. So this is where basically how does this impact the show going forward? And it's quite important for episodic shows. And again, I'm looking at you, Star Trek Discovery, because we'll get to you eventually. And because in certain aspects,
we won't.
I'm sure at some point we will, in like our 50,000th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're joking, obviously. Look, the idea of it is that with certain episodes, they are completely consequential, they're relevant, but they might like lead on to something in the future. Like sometimes, like there was like a B story in a previous episode, and that then led to conspiracy as an episode. Like that's a good example of a consequence. But it's also a case of like, well, what is the knock-on effect of this episode? Does Picard change as a character? Does the Stargates come back? Does the Ferengi come back? Are the Ferengi changed and so forth? So that's what we kind of review that as, if to say, does this episode ultimately matter? Is it a genuinely important episode, or is it just filler? And that's the kind of question we ask in consequences.
I'm going to say yes. It absolutely did matter. Did it make a difference? Yes, 100%. As I said before, you saw a different side to Picard. So then from this episode, you tend to see Picard blossom a little bit more in terms of a person, rather than just he is this stoic captain and this is what we must do. But he from this emotion. And you get further episodes of that, and especially when it comes to Best of Both Worlds, and then leading into was it Family is the name of the second episode?
Family is the follow-on from that, yeah.
Following up, so you get it, and you're like, wow, like serious emotions here. In terms of actually leading on for them, is yes, because we do get another Bach episode. It will wait another 6 seasons before we see another Bach episode, and for me, I thought that particular one was just a filler. Really, there's no comparison between the two episodes. Like one, it's like night and day. There's no comparison. But you definitely see Picard's distrust of Ferengi from this episode onwards, because every time he sees one, I imagine he just thinks of the regret he has with Stargazer and stuff like that. So absolutely it does. It's not a huge thing overall for the show. For Picard, it's just a little setup for how he's going to be from now on. And then it's how we see the Ferengi from now on. It's like, are they actually going to be honest, or are they just going to be tricksters, or are they going to try and make some money out of this? So it sets up the Ferengi nicely from that as well. So certainly not a 10, but I'd give it 7.
I was gonna say 7.5 because, as you said,
I tell you, I'll go 7.5. I'll go 7.
Yeah, the reason I say that was because I think it serves the Ferengi quite well, because the previous episode they had was the last outpost was a bit of a disaster setting up the Ferengi, because they had the laser whips and they were like jumping around like monkeys, and it was terrible episode. But the thing is as well, like this was a better chance at setting up the Ferengi as villains, but they're still very cartoony in how they were being played and how they're being cast. They didn't really get their shit together with the Ferengi until maybe Menage a Trois, I think I find, where they actually had a bit more conniving, very clearly, like they tap into the more misogynist part and the more capitalist part, and then they realize, oh no, ignore the anti-Semitism, no, just put that away. And then when they get to Deep Space Nine, they have Armin Zimmerman come back, who actually puts effort into his character.
Oh, so good.
That's when we get the real Ferengi. But for now, this is a bit of a soft reset, is what I would say, or at least temporarily, until they start trying to figure out what they do with the Ferengi in a sense. So yeah, 7.5 for that then. So overall, not a bad start for this show. The battle from the Next Generation gets a 73 out of 100. So
okay, quite high actually.
Now. Yeah, I thought it was going to be high 60s myself, but 73 I think is a very fair shout for the battle. To be fair,
that's a good score.
So, yeah, it's a good score. It's a good start to start off, because it's a good like target for where we go next. Then, so that is very much the question. Where will we go next? We don't know. We haven't decided. It's the pilot. We'll wait until this comes out and see what happens. If you have actually your own suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. What episodes should we look at next? Because again, we're going to try and ease into the podcast further before we start going into the top tier content. So give us a few kind of like little kind of dark horses, little surprise, little treats, let's say, as opposed to everything else. And of course, it's not just the Next Generation we're doing everything, all of Star Trek. So throw in your Voyagers, your Deep Space Nines, your originals, your animated series. Fucking go for it! Like we're game for everything here. So that is what we're doing. So Gerry, are you happy with the battle being 73 out of 100?
Absolutely, yeah. If I was to give say an out of 10 rating, just without going into in depth as we did there, if you would just go give us an out of 10 for the battle, I'd have gone about 7 to a 7.5. So 73 out of 100 is actually quite good. I like that. It's around about the ballpark that I would have done it on an individual sense. Good episode, good start. If anybody, you know, as you said, Jonathan, any series, and we're talking not just old, but we're talking about new as well. So if you want to include Lower Decks in that, Discovery, Enterprise, Next Generation, Picard, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, original series and animated series, and
Strange New Worlds.
Exactly. This could be out as well in the next couple of months. Please let us know, comment on this or send us a message and let us know that you want us to talk about a particular episode that you think might be the best episode out there. I know there's a couple of episodes where I'm really looking forward to doing the watch along, because there are stellar episodes and some of them are two-parters, so it could be a long shoot.
So like the way I was gonna think of doing that, because again the question will be asked what we do with two-parters. I think we would do is perhaps treat them as separate episodes, but they have the same score. So like the two of them have to be combined. So if one episode, if a two-parter has like a brilliant first half and the second half is a fucking stinker, they have to be treated as the one. So that's a spicy one. I don't know why, but the words far pointed counter and at keep flashing around my head, and I don't know why that is. Why is that happening? I don't know. It's strange. Anyway, total coincidence. But yeah, that's where we're going with that. So again, lads, if you have your suggestions for episodes we should look at least for our second and third episodes while we get our shit together in this sense, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. But for now, Gerry, thank you very much for your company tonight. Always appreciated.
And live long and prosper, John.
Indeed. Peace and long life, as they say.